3 squad cars boxed me in before I even had a chance to stretch my legs. The HOA called 911 on me on moving day, claiming I was trespassing on the shoreline I'd just bought, screaming like I'd broken into Fort Knox instead of my own lake house. Ever had a moment where you step out of your truck and the world just goes sideways? Yeah, this was mine. And if you think that's wild, you haven't heard the half of it yet. So grab a seat. The gravel under my boots sounded like it was warning me, every crunch and pop echoing through the pines as I rolled up to the lake after a 10-hour haul from Billings. The water hit me first deep blue, shining like a piece of broken sky under the Montana sun. Pine shadows stretched out lazy across the shore. For a second, I could almost believe I'd made it home. I'd been saving for this place since I was a kid, back when my uncle let me sleep in the attic, back before anybody heard the word HOA. I was halfway to the porch, suitcase in hand, when sirens ripped the quiet apart, flashing red and blue, bouncing off the cabin windows, raising hell. 3 police cruisers skidded to a stop, boots pounding, doors slamming, and a chorus of voices barking orders. I could barely process over the ringing in my ears. There I stood like a deer in headlights. Only thing in my hand was a suitcase full of old work boots and one faded photo of my uncle grinning by this very dock. Out of the chaos stepped a woman, heels clacking sharp on the gravel like she'd rehearsed this entrance. Salmon pink blazer, silver hair clipboard hugged tight to her chest. Her face said she'd never been told no in her life. Marilyn Dorrance, HOA president. Her voice carried like a bad preacher's, loud enough to rattle the birds. That's him. He's trespassing. Detain him. A Deputy Miller. His tag read, "Step between us," hand up, calm but serious. Sir, stop right there. My mouth went dry. This is my house, I said, feeling stupid even as I said it. Marilyn scoffed so hard I thought the pines might fall over. His house. He broke into federally protected land. The shoreline is restricted. He has no right to be here. Second deputy eased closer, hand hovering just shy of his gun eyes, scanning for trouble. Sir, put the bag down. My heartbeat pounded hard enough to rattle my teeth, but I set the suitcase down in the dirt, kept my hands open, palms up. I got the deed in my truck, I said. Just drove 10 hours. I own this place. Marilyn wasn't having it. Lies. He's been stalking this place. I'm calling 911 again. Federal response. She didn't even blink, just started tapping her phone. One of the deputies tried to calm her, but she was already off to the races, heels grinding fresh scars into my gravel. I tried to breathe, but it felt like every eye in the county was watching, waiting to see if I'd blink first. Deputy Miller held out his hand. Sir, I need to see your ID. Marilyn, meanwhile, was pacing in tight, angry circles, shrieking about jurisdiction and bylaws. All I could think was, if this is how moving day goes, what kind of mess have I driven into? I kept my hands visible, fingers splayed, palms out, the universal sign for don't shoot. I'm just a guy who bought a lake house. But between the swirling dust and Marilyn's yelling, I felt more like a trespasser than a homeowner. Mr. Mercer Miller said, glancing at my ID. You say you bought this deeds in the truck? Lake house came with shoreline dock, boathouse, the whole wedge. Marilyn shoved a glossy, professional-looking packet at him. Clearwater Bluffs HOA controls the entire shoreline. This man is trespassing on restricted community property. She flipped to a page, jabbing her finger at it like it was a holy writ. Miller scanned the page, brow furrowing. Ma'am, this is a maintenance agreement, not ownership. Read it again, Marilyn hissed. It says we have jurisdiction over waterfront structures. Jurisdiction isn't ownership, I cut in. Those aren't the same thing. The second deputy piped up. Sir, until this is sorted, you can't access the structures. That's my boathouse, I said, trying to keep my temper down. My uncle built that dock. Marilyn cut in sharp. And your uncle never filed paperwork. That's why the HOA absorbed the shoreline for preservation. Absorbed. Like the lake was some old newspaper they found and claimed as their own. I shook my head. That's not how property works. Exactly, Marilyn said, as if I'd proved her point. Which is why we protect the lake from people like you. From squatters, illegal boats, dangerous behavior. I'm not a squatter, I said, fists curling tight before I forced them to open. We'll see what the county says, she shot back, raising her phone. Deputy, escalate this. Private citizen is seizing HOA lakefront. Miller sighed. Ma'am, we're here. Let us do our job. She ignored him, barking orders into her phone, painting me as hostile. Hostile for standing on my own gravel. My humiliation was so thick you could taste it in the air. How fast can a man lose control of his own moving day? Then came the moment that changed everything. An old man, faded flannel boots, worn thin, shuffled up behind the fence line. He slipped a folded piece of paper into my hand, so subtle I almost missed it. "They did it to the last owner too," he whispered, then kept walking. When I opened it, my whole world shifted. It was a hand-drawn map, lines bold and clear showing the property line running right through the dock straight into the water. My water. Marilyn noticed her eyes going sharp. "What's that A problem?" I said, tucking it into my pocket. I pulled the real deed and the federal survey maps from my truck, older than the HOA itself, stamped and sealed. Marilyn's face wobbled. "Those are forged." Miller looked them over, then glanced back at her. "Ma'am, these are legit. Federal Survey 1978, 1954, even the 1940s. All say the same thing, the shoreline, the dock, the water, all part of his parcel." The neighbors started to stir, voices murmuring from behind screen doors and porch railings. A woman across the street stepped forward, arms crossed. "Maybe it's time you stopped lying, Marilyn." For the first time, Marilyn backed down a step. The game was up, and she knew it. The deputy's radio crackled. Mesa County Records wanted me down at the office fast. Something about historical deeds. My hands shook as I dialed the number, a clerk on the line whispering, "Where'd you get the 1979 water use deed? We've never seen it. Bring it now." I drove to the county office, maps and deeds riding shotgun. Inside, Sam Ortega, the clerk, looked at me like I was holding a bomb. "Your uncle tried to stop the HOA. They forged boundaries, filed fake preservation claims, started charging fees. He got sick, they won by default. But these papers, these are the missing evidence." Sam explained that 3 years ago, the HOA redrew the shoreline on a loophole, never got the signatures, forged names. If you push this, HOA's done. Their fees illegal, their authority gone. You could sue for everything. I sat with that feeling, the weight in my chest, responsibility, not just victory. Back at the lake, dusk falling, I found 27 violation notices plastered to my cabin, everything from improper siding installation to failure to comply with community courtesy standards. Marilyn stood waiting, arms folded, smug as ever. "You're living on borrowed time," she said. "All HOA regulations apply." I held up the folder from Sam. "Not anymore," she snorted. "Old documents don't matter." Miller rolled up tired. "Ma'am, county records may say otherwise." She spun on him, voice sharp, but he just shook his head. "That's when I called Sam's land surveyor, the one the county trusts." Marilyn scoffed. "We have our own experts." "Well, mine's coming anyway." Neighbors started to gather, porch lights flicking on faces pressed to windows. Owen, the surveyor, set up his tripod, methodical and calm. He measured each boundary marker, each one falling on my side. "Dock, boathouse, channel, all within Mr. Mercer's parcel," he announced. Marilyn's voice broke. "No, that's impossible. The HOA redrew this shoreline in 2020. Owen deadpanned. "You can't redraw riparian boundaries without county oversight." "I am the oversight," he added dryly. As the last measurement confirmed my ownership, silence washed over the lake. Then a new voice spoke up, attorney Leah Conway, folder in hand. "You didn't file anything with the state, Marilyn. Your claim was rejected. County's opening a fraud investigation." Marilyn blanched, but Leah just kept going, reading out fees the HOA collected, none of it used for repairs. 620 grand, Marilyn. All in the HOA discretionary fund. Your brother's company got most of the payouts. Neighbors shouted, some in tears, others furious. Walter, the treasurer, finally cracked. She forged the signatures. She hid the old maps. Marilyn exploded, but the deputies had heard enough. Then headlights lit up the driveway, a federal SUV. A water management agent stepped out, handed me a sealed envelope. Inside, stamped in blue ink, federal confirmation of ownership, Daniel Mercer. Full shoreline, dock, water access, marina easements. Deputy Miller read it, voice solid. "This is legitimate, federally recognized." The wind went still. Marilyn's knees buckled, hands gripping her Lexus. "You can't do this." "I didn't do it," I said. The truth did. The federal agent announced all HOA records were being seized pending audit. Deputy Miller's radio squawked, "FBI on the way." Marilyn tried to block the car, but officers just moved her aside. Her power evaporated. Neighbors crowded forward, clutching old notices, tax bills, even county envelopes. Walter admitted it all, how Marilyn ran things, how they lied and covered up the truth. As binders and ledgers were hauled away by state officers, Marilyn tried one last desperate stand. No one has ever defeated the HOA, and no one ever will. I met her glare. You're wrong. More headlights. FBI agents arriving. Mr. Mercer, you are the rightful owner of Clearwater Bluffs Waterfront, one said. The crowd buzzed relief, outrage, awe. Marilyn whispered, What happens now? I looked at her, then at the water. Now we rebuild the truth. As the night settled, porch lights dimming, neighbors drifted home whispering about what they'd seen. I stood at the end of my dock, the boards steady beneath me, moonlight painting a silver path across the water. Leah joined me quiet. You did it, she said. I just told the truth. The lake breeze felt cleaner, like something dark had finally lifted. Walter found me there, asked for forgiveness. It's never too late to do the right thing, I told him. The residents are grateful, he said. You stood up for all of us. I did it because it was right, I said, not for thanks. By morning, the community gathered hopeful, asking if I'd open the dock, not for fees, not under an HOA, but shared. Not just open, I said, but honest, transparent. No threats, no lies. That afternoon, I filed the paperwork, Clearwater Community Marina free to all, managed by residents. As the sun set, kids fished off my dock kayaks, slipped into the water, and laughter echoed where suspicion once ruled. Marilyn was gone, taken in for questioning her empire in pieces. The HOA was finished, dissolved like fog in sunlight. What was left? Not just a win for me, but a win for every neighbor who'd ever felt powerless. If you've ever had to fight for what's right, let me know. Drop a yes in the comments. And if you believe in justice and dignity and protecting what's yours, stick around. Because this isn't just my story. It's the story of anyone who ever stood up, even when the whole world told them to sit down.